Welcome to this explainer. Okay, if you're a parent or a caregiver tuning in today, you probably know the exact feeling of overwhelming exhaustion that hits when you reach your breaking point with daily tantrums. It's draining, it's frustrating, and honestly, it can make you feel like you are totally failing. But I promise you, you aren't. Today, we're going to break down a really practical guide drawn directly from people who have been right there in the trenches with you. We're going to look at exactly how to fix child tantrums, and we're going to do it without resorting to yelling or bribing.
There is just such profound honesty in this quote. I used to yell, not because I wanted to, but because I didn't know what else to do. Let's just validate that struggle right out of the gate. If you find yourself raising your voice, it's almost always happening out of sheer desperation, not malice. You hit a wall, your tools run out, and your survival instinct takes over. But as you'll see today, there's a completely different way to approach this that actually works.
So here is our roadmap out of the chaos. We're going to cover 1. The breaking point. 2. Decoding emotional overload. 3. The prevention first approach. 4. Surviving the mid-tantrum storm. 5. Boundaries without bribes. And 6. Repairing the relationship. Let's jump right into part 1, the breaking point. This is all about recognizing that exact moment when you just snap. Maybe it's after the 4th tantrum of the morning, or you're dealing with spilled cereal, or suddenly there's absolute screaming just because you handed them the blue cup instead of the red one. You just reach your limit. But here is the hard truth. Yelling doesn't stop tantrums, it makes them worse. That traditional reaction of matching your kid's loud volume with your own loud volume fundamentally fails. When a parent yells, the kid just screams louder and digs in harder. And the ultimate result? You both end up in tears, and you're left holding on to a massive amount of parent guilt. We've got to figure out a way that doesn't leave everyone feeling terrible afterward. Which brings us to part 2, decoding emotional overload. To stop the cycle of yelling, we need a massive paradigm shift in how we view what a tantrum actually is. We need to look under the hood. A tantrum is not bad behavior. It's a nervous system short circuit caused by emotional overload. This is absolutely huge. When your kid is on the floor screaming at the grocery store, they aren't willfully defying you to ruin your day. Their little nervous system has simply taken on way more input than it can process, and it is completely crashing. So, what causes that crash? Well, these are the primary biological triggers behind the emotional overload. They're tired, they're hungry, they feel out of control of their environment. Maybe they just don't have the vocabulary to express what they need with words, or they're overwhelmed by too much sensory stimulation. Once you understand these biological realities, you stop seeing the tantrum as a battle you have to win, and you start seeing it as a giant flashing signal that your child's basic needs aren't being met. All right, part 3, the prevention first approach. This is the before phase of the tantrum timeline. It turns out most meltdowns can actually be reduced before they even have a chance to start if you just know the hidden triggers most parents completely miss. It's not always just about being hungry. Sometimes it's about transitions, like moving a kid from one activity to another without any warning. Sometimes it's giving them way too many choices, which offers a kind of freedom their brains just aren't ready to handle. Kids also act like little emotional sponges, right? If you're carrying around parent stress, they feel your tension and mirror it. And finally, a lack of routine makes their life feel unpredictable, and unpredictability breeds meltdowns. But we can directly target those hidden triggers to prevent the storm. You can actually structure your day to stop it. Give a clear 5-minute warning before transitions, like, hey, 5 more minutes, then bath time. Use routines because kids absolutely thrive when they know exactly what's coming next. Offer limited choices instead of open-ended ones. Do you want the red shirt or the blue shirt? And crucially, plan those snacks. Hunger is secretly behind far more tantrums than you might think. Moving into part 4, surviving the mid-tantrum storm. Okay, but what happens when prevention fails? This is the intensely difficult during phase. When the screaming starts, your own body reacts, your heart races, your voice naturally wants to rise, and your immediate instinct is to just shut the noise down. To override that biological panic, you've got to take these 3 essential physical actions to de-escalate yourself first. Number 1, breathe. Literally count to 3 in your head before you speak. Number 2, lower your voice. I know, it sounds super counterintuitive when they're being loud, but dropping your volume actually forces the kid to quiet down if they want to hear you. And number 3, step back. Physically. Just give yourself a little space before you engage. And while you're doing those 3 physical steps, you need to mentally hold on to this grounding anchor mantra. Read it with me. This is communication, not defiance.
I want you to mentally repeat this phrase on a loop in your head when the storm is raging. It helps you maintain your empathy when you're literally about to lose your temper.
While the storm is peaking, avoid the usual traps. Don't lecture. Don't argue logic because a kid's brain literally cannot process logic mid-meltdown. And please don't threaten them with things like, if you don't stop, no TV. Instead, do stay nearby and calm. Do acknowledge their feelings, even if you think the reason is totally silly. And do use short, simple phrases. Since their brain is short-circuiting, simple phrases like, I'm right here, you're safe, are absolutely crucial.
All right, let's talk about part 5, boundaries without bribes. Now, you might be wondering, wait, if I'm just staying calm and acknowledging their feelings, am I just letting them walk all over me? Not at all. This is about maintaining your authority and setting limits, but doing it using connection instead of control. Boundaries are totally necessary, but they don't have to be loud or scary to work. You set a healthy limit by clearly stating what's not okay. For instance, we don't hit. Then you instantly redirect that behavior by offering an acceptable alternative. You can stomp your feet on the floor instead. Finally, you must follow through calmly every single time. Kids are going to test your limits just to see if they're secure. Your consistency is what actually builds their sense of safety.
And finally, part 6, repairing the relationship.
Eventually, the crying stops and the storm passes. This is the critical after phase of the timeline. What you do right after a tantrum is just as important as what you do during it. Here is how to reconnect using a really direct, simple repair process. First, offer a hug. Second, talk briefly about what happened without lingering on it too long. Something like, wow, you were really mad when we had to leave the park. And third, always end on a positive note. Sit down and read a book, draw a picture together, or just spend a few minutes cuddling. So why do we do this? Because it reinforces this incredibly powerful message. Conflict doesn't break the relationship. Reassure yourselves, parents, that taking these repair steps teaches your kids that love is unconditional. They learn that relationships are actually strong enough to withstand big emotions, mistakes, and disagreements without falling apart. Okay, let's bring it all together. Here is a highly actionable playbook summarizing everything we've learned today. You can literally start using these guilt-free tools right now. Identify your child's top 3 specific tantrum triggers. Start adding a 5-minute warning before every single transition in your day. Practice naming feelings out loud, even during the calm moments. Commit to lowering your voice instead of raising it when tensions spike. And lastly, make it a habit to reconnect after every conflict, no matter how small. Look, remember that tantrums aren't proof that you're failing as a parent. They're just proof that your kid is learning how to handle massive, confusing emotions, and they need you as their guide. By choosing calm over yelling, you are teaching them emotional regulation skills that will serve them way beyond their toddler years. So I'll leave you with this question to think about. The next time the storm hits your house, will you choose control or will you choose connection? Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you on the next one.